morning and afternoon to all of you who have joined us today. I hope you all had a great week and are looking forward to a great week, great next week. We have a very exciting workshop lined up for today, and we have Abhishek with us. Abhishek is currently employed with Real Brokerage as a lead UX designer. He calls himself as a Gen Z UX designer with extensive experience in the industry. He has worked with some prominent technology startups in the field, like Net, Tech9, Uplers, and Abhishek. We are more than happy to welcome you on ProApp workshops. Uh, Thank you for doing this with us for us on a Saturday. And yeah, great. The stage is all yours, and let's start it.
Like Rashika said, so my name is Abhishek Kashit. I'm 26 years old, and as of now, I'm working on this company named Real, right? So it's a product where real estate agents sell their properties and list their transactions. So it's a very complicated product. I won't go into details about explaining the product. So what instead I would do is I would actually start off by sharing my screen. Cool. Okay, so the sad news is, guys, I haven't prepared a presentation for you. Instead of that, instead of just reading through of the presentation, what I felt would be much helpful is directly jumping onto the problem itself, right? So today we are going to solve a real life UX problem. So this specific problem that you see on screen, it was given to one of my students, all right? So it was given to one of my students. She's currently working in a company and as a graphic and a UX designer. So she's also like a part of my academy. Cool. So this was a task that was given to her. Cool. So as a designer, what I would do when I receive a task, okay? So the first thing that I would do is I would actually go through the task very thoroughly and very carefully. Cool. So I would just read off the task. I would make sure to read it twice or thrice. If possible, I would read it 10 times. Cool. So this task, it's a car auction application. So I would just read it loud. Okay. So car auction is an application used by second-hand automobile buyers and sellers. Cool. So just by reading this statement itself, we come to know that this is an application. So the design would be for mobile. Okay. And it's used by second-hand automobile buyers and sellers. So from this statement itself, I'm able to point out the user personas that who are going to use this application, right? They are the second-hand buyers and sellers, right? So now, like, we also some of the things that we need to connect are, so probably this specific application would be used by the people who fall in the age group of 45 to 50, basically, right? They have the business of selling the secondhand cars or buying secondhand cars, right? So that is how you should be able to read this whole given problem statement very thoroughly and very carefully, right? So that is the first thing that I would do as a designer. In my company also, this is the same thing that I do. And I also said my students to do the same thing. Cool. So second line is the user interface should be more visually appealing while also be functional. So this states that the aesthetic touch should be also present to the application, and at the same time it should be functional, which is a hard thing to achieve, but no worries, we'll achieve that. Cool. The design should include all the items shown on the screenshot. So actually there was no screenshot provided. Okay, so this is something, a mistake from their side. Cool. You should design the one main screen with elements mentioned below. So like it's written here, we need to design one screen itself. Cool. Make sure don't remove any elements, make them attractive. So these are the elements. Cool. And these are the elements that we would be including in our application. Okay. And these are some of the things that they have mentioned. Like, please kindly don't send dark designs let it be in bright and mid pastel colors. Cool. So I would advise you whenever you receive a task, right? So this is to all the new designers who are, hunting for jobs. So basically the job hunting process, whenever you apply into a company for a job, right? You will receive a task from their side. So whenever you receive a task, make sure you read that task twice, 10 times if possible, right? So after reading this, the second thing that I would do is I would create core product statements, right? So what core product statement means, okay? And how I use this thing. So this core product statement is assurance for myself that I have understood the problem very nicely and very thoroughly, right? So core product statement is basically articulating the problem within 2 or 3 sentences, right? And also at the same time, I would divide the problem into small parts, right? So I would explain you guys the thing that I said with an example, right? So suppose if you are solving this problem, right? If you're solving this problem, this is the problem that you're solving, and this is the research part that you have done for this problem, right? So never ever solve the problem as a whole problem, right? You should always dissect the problem, right? I will show you what happens when you dissect the problem, right? So now this is how you solve this. This is a solution. Like this is a research part that you have done when you solve the problem as a whole problem, right? But now we will solve the problem by dissecting the problem, right? So now we have created small parts of this problem, right? So now this is divided into like a couple of small problems, right? And this is the research part now. Cool. Do you see like what happens when you dissect the problem into small problems? You have a like wide research part now with you, right? So this is how you should actually, this applies to each and every aspect of your life, right? Whenever you see a problem, you should break down the problem into smaller problems, and then you try to solve the problems, right? You should not solve the problem as a whole, right? Okay. So now core product statement is basically, me articulating the problem into 2 or 3 sentences. This allows me to, this gives me assurance that I have like a proper whole of the problem that I have received, right? So now here you can see allow users to browse through a wide variety of cars from different sellers, right? Provide detailed information about each car, including photos, vehicle histories, and reports, and auction items. Set a maximum bid and let the app automatically bid. So basically, this is like this whole thing is this thing only, but I have just articulated into a smaller sentences. This allows me to, like I said, right? This allows you this is assurance for myself that I have understood the problem in a very detailed manner, and I can shorten this whole problem into 2 or 3 sentences. So that this is the second thing that I would do, core product statement, right? So now the third thing, which is user persona, right? So before starting this, before talking about the user persona, I would like to share a link with you guys. Okay, just a second. Yeah. So I don't want you guys to watch the video right now. Cool. You can watch it later. Video. So this is the video that I want you guys to watch after this workshop. Okay. So in this video, you will come to know that what is the importance of user persona, right? So once you are done watching that video, I want you guys to look this. I want you guys to open this link and look at this image, right? I'm pretty sure like 99% of you would be able to connect the dots, right? Okay, so moving back to the user personas. So now like I was reading this thing, right? So at that point of time, as well, that point of time, I was able to take out few of the user personas, right? So I will just write those personas here, right, in detailed manner. So now in user persona section, I have written like there will be first time buyers who are often looking for a way to buy a car without having to go to a dealership. Experienced second-hand car buyers, experienced buyers who are often looking for a specific car or good deals, right? Experienced second. So this is something that will come that will flow into your mind if you're able to understand the problem very nicely, right? So that is the reason why I tell you guys to, whenever you see a problem, you need to like read it twice, thrice, or 10 times, 20 times if possible, right? Then only you'll be able to, create such detailed personas, right? Cool. So this is the third thing that I would do. And the fourth thing. So the fourth things, the fourth thing actually comes after the computer analysis. So I would just skip this as of now, and I would come to this once I'm done with the computer analysis. Cool. And I have listed few of the use cases. For this specific task, the use case doesn't matter, because as of in this task, we just need to design one screen, which is the auction screen, I guess. But still, I have written some use cases, because whenever you like create such good presentation of your UX, there's a high chance of you getting selected for the job that you applied for. Cool. So the use cases, right? So the first use case is car auction apps allow users to bid on. Basically, if the screen that I'm designing, I need the user to bid on, right? Bid on the cars that they want to buy, right? The user can use car auction apps to sell their car, right? And so I'll show you guys how I connect these use cases, right? When I'll do the competitor analysis. Cool. And the third is user needs to be confident enough to make the purchase, right? So I have actually created the wireframes in which I have make sure to solve this issue that I have written over here, the use case that I have written over here. So for the newbies who are new to this field, use cases is basically something. So for example, let's use a food application, right? So in food application, the use case would be a user wants to order a food item, right? A user wants to uh, track the food item. A user wants to uh, get the refund of the food item, right? This will be the use cases of that application. If that application is able to provide that use cases, then it suffices the need of the like food delivery application itself, right? So use cases is that. Cool. So the okay, this is fourth, second, third, fourth, fifth. So fifth thing is how might we statements. Okay, so how might we statement is something that I usually do to conduct a brainstorming session itself. So I normally perform this with my colleagues. Cool. But you can also do this as an individual, right? So the first how might we statement is something how might we make it easier for the users to find the cars they're looking for, right? So this is basically a question written in a format in which you will be able to generate some answers. Cool. So second is how might we help users make informed decision about the cars they are betting on, right? So again, I'll show you the answers to this that I have like done in my application itself. So no worries about that, right? How might we create more engaging and user friendly experience for the users? So this is again the designing part, right? So now moving on to the sixth thing of this whole workshop, right? So Moscow, okay. So do anyone of you know what Moscow is? So that is a question that I would like you guys to answer, right? So you can use your chat. Yes, okay. Yes, go ahead, PB. What is Moscow? I'm tapping on. Sure.
We're waiting. We're waiting.
And also, guys, like I would like to say that I'm also a bit nervous, so it's fine. MVP prowess design. Yes, you're closer. Yes. It's almost that. MVP prowess design. But can you elaborate a bit? Must have, could have, I guess. Yes. It's must have, could have, right? It's so I'll explain you what Moscow stands for, right? So MS capital. So it's must have, SS capital, and C is capital. So S stands for should have, C stands for could have, and W stands for would have or wish to have. Cool. So now what this exactly mean, right? So the must have things are the things that the application should, must, could, would, won't. It's fine. So must have is something that application needs to have, right, in order to function. For example, again, we would use example of a food application, right? So a food application, the must have use cases would be, the user wants to order a food item from the application. User wants to track the food order item that he has ordered from the application. The user wants to initiate a refund
Coupon,
request.
coupon code for the food app. Must.
Coupon code, yes, you can say that. Yes. You can also put that in a must have. Like as of now, the coupon code is a necessity. Yes. Of course. That also comes in the must have section. Okay, cool. So that would be so must have defines the things that the application needs in order to function, right? The should have is something I would say this is 70%. If the application doesn't have this, still the application would function, but still this is 70% important, right? Should have. So yes, it's a prioritization method. Yes, absolutely right. Yes. So in must have, I've written that the application should offer a wide selection of cars to choose from, including different makes, models, and years, right? The second is the application should provide detailed information about each car, including photos, videos, and vehicle history reports. Cool. So these are some of the must-have topics, must-have points. Cool. And then should have, the application should be secure so that users can be confident that their personal information is safe, right? So now, whenever I'm creating these blocks, right, I'm making sure that I will include all these points in my design itself, right? I'm just not writing it for the sake of writing, right? So this whole UX part is, you need to make sure that it connects with your UI also, right? You're just not doing the research for the sake of researching. Cool. So I will show you how I connect each and everything in the UI part, cool, in the wireframe part. So should have a the app should have a good customer support so the user can get help if they need it. Could have, the app could allow users to live stream auctions. So this is again could have. So could have is 40 or 30% important. And again, would have is wish to have, right? So a good example for would have would be in Zomato application, right? In rainy season, whenever you order food item, right? So when you go to the tracking order screen and you look at the top of the screen, you see that it's raining, the animation of raining. So that is a would have feature, right? It's a good to have feature. Cool. It looks nice, but without that, also the application would function. But it creates that good impression, right? That your application as a real application. Basically it connects with the human emotion, right? And it creates delightful experience while using that application. So would have is something that it's okay if you don't add to your application, but still you need to put it down here. Cool. So now competitors. Cool. So I won't actually go in depth about how to collect the exact competitors, right? Because that's a very lengthy process, and we that would again require me another session for that specific thing. right? So as of now, I have like listed out the competitors. Cool. So it's Auction Winnie, it's Copart, but about the competitors. Okay. So again, I would use the same example as the dissect one. So the example that I used earlier, that circle one, right? So whenever you're researching for competitors, make sure you research the indirect competitors first and then the direct competitors. Cool. So what I mean by indirect competitors is who are your competitors, but they are not like your direct competitors. Okay. So basically, so we are designing a auction specific auction specific application, right? So our indirect competitor would be eBay, right? Does that make sense? Like eBay. And eBay is a platform where you can auction everything, right? Everything. If I want to sell my watch, I can auction it. If I want to sell my shoes, I can auction it, right? So that would be an indirect competitor. So how you're able to, uh, know that who are your indirect competitors or direct competitors. So there's a small process that I would like you guys to follow. Okay, I'll go into depths about that. No worries. Why indirect competitor first? Okay. So whenever I approach a problem, I make sure to approach it from top to bottom, right? So first, I would understand this thing, right? I would understand how this application functions, right? So the first is you would see the car. So this is something that I have visualized what happens in a real car auction thing, right? Real car auction platform. Okay. So if I went to a car auction platform, like car auction place, then I would see a car auction panel, right? And so from this, I'm able to, I'm able to take the car auction applications itself, right? And there will be a buyer, and buyer needs to bid to buy that car, like to bid on that car. Okay. And how that car sells is, if the buyer is the best bidder of the car, then he gets the car, right? So I'm pretty sure like it's very complicated to understand, but no worries. For this session, we'll just break down into like smaller steps, right? So this is basically, you have to visualize yourself into a place where you're seeing a car auction live occurring in front of your eyes, right? So there would be buyer and there would be best bidder, right? So why I'm like pointing arrows to this is so these are our direct competitors, and these are our indirect competitors, right? So I would research the application that are used for buying secondhand cars, and the applications that are used for selling secondhand cars, right? And so this specific are our indirect competitors, right? And this is our direct competitors. Now, why do we need to research the direct and indirect competitors, right? So that would be the first question, right? So again, I would use the same example that I had used earlier, right? So instead of just researching from the direct competitors, you would have like this would be your research. But when you research from the indirect competitors also, you have like two more to this, right? Like two or three, four more. So this is your research part now, right? So this is the whole, you have like a wide variety of UI elements that you can use from all these competitors, right? So this is how you should, make sure to utilize the indirect competitors and direct competitors. And most of the time, what would happen is, so in my company, I will share my experience, right? Like the problems that I receive, they don't have direct competitors, right? I have to look into the indirect competitors because there are no applications that are doing the same thing. So I usually go to indirect competitors because in indirect competitors, the problem that I'm facing is being solved there, but I need to look very carefully, right? Then only I'm able to see that okay, this is being solved, right? Computers. Okay, so Direct competitors is something, right? So if I'm given this task, okay, the task is to design an auction page for a car auction application, right? So all the applications that are doing the same thing, the car auction applications, right? Those will be my direct competitors. But uh, but the applications that are also, selling like different things, like auctioning different things, like mobile phone, like watch. Yes, absolutely. Like watch, like mobile phone, like each and everything. So basically, I would say eBay, right? So eBay would be your indirect competitor, right? So indirect competitor, that eBay would be your indirect competitor. But again, I would further break down the competitors into parts, right? So like I said, right, I would like divide the whole problem into parts. So in auction platform, there is one segment which is buying segment, and there is one segment which is selling segment, and the third segment is auctioning segment, right? So now I'll show you the research part, right? So this is the top down, right? This in top you would see the indirect competitors, right? So I have listed, like I have screenshotted the eBay, right? As you can see, this is eBay. I will talk about these circles. I will talk about the circles soon. No worries. Cool. So this is eBay. This is OLX. This is Carwale. This is Cardeco, right? So these are some of the indirect competitors, right? So now I would connect the user personas while I'm talking about the competitors, right? So in OLX, what I would see, like why I have put OLX in this is, so if I'm a buyer, right? If I'm a buyer and I'm looking to buy a car, like, then what are the things that I would need in my screen, and what are the things that would make me want that car, right? So for that, I would use OLX, right? OLX buying, like OLX experience, basically, right? I won't conduct the research by myself, right? Because in companies or in tasks, you are like merely given 2 or 3 days, right? So you won't have the time to conduct that, whole research part. You keep on like seeing all those case studies where you see all those graphs and all this interview questions and all that shit. In real industry, none of that will happen. You need to make your research game strong. Like you need to use patterns and UI components which are currently being used by some of the great companies. So OLX, you can call, they are next to the unicorn company, next to being a unicorn company. So we would just utilize their informational architecture, right? We won't be conducting the research from scratch. We won't be reinventing the wheel, right? So like from here, what are the elements that I'll pick, right? So the circle is something that I do. So we can say direct and indirect competitors with internal and stakeholders. Yes. So like when you reach to this phase of your research part, like if you're working in a company, but if you're doing the task, I'm pretty sure that you won't be able to share this with the task giver, right? With the HR. But if you're working in a company, at that point of time, the moment you like have these screenshots, right, and the moment you have like circled out the components that you want to use in your application or in your problem, at that point of time you should include the PMs, you should include the engineers, and you should include all the other designers, right? You would like to show them these components, and you would like to then discuss that I'm going to use this components, and does this make sense to you? And also you will show the same thing to the engineers itself, right? Why we show this thing to engineer? Because sometimes some things are not feasible, and sometimes some things it requires lots of efforts, but the impact is very less. So at that point of time you should not be creating those things. So about the impact and effort ratio, this is a whole other thing. I would like you guys to Google that, effort impact ratio matrix. Do you guys know about effort ratio impact matrix? So this is something that I would like you guys to Google, right? It's a very nice thing. No, not golden ratio, not golden ratio. It's effort. So, okay, no worries. I'll explain it. Okay. So there are 4 quadrants in a matrix, right? Yes, yes, yes. Feasibility. Yes, yes, yes. Never listen about that. No worries. Okay, let's Google it right now. Cool. Effort impact matrix. See. Can you guys see this image on my screen? Okay, that's visible, right? Cool. So what usually happens in a company, like in a startup, so when I talk about startup, like I'm talking about 98% of the companies, the rest 2% of the companies are MNC, like big companies, the fan companies, basically the man companies, sorry. So in that company, if you are placed in that company, then you will be able to conduct all those research that you learn in your, classes, or like, and you see in YouTube's, right? The semi-structured interview and all that thing, right? At that, if you reach that level, at that point of time, you'll be able to conduct all those research methodologies. But in startups, I'm talking about the 98% of the companies, right? You don't have the time to do all those things. You need to make sure that you deliver the thing that is functional and that is of very low effort, right? Okay, so I'll talk about this diagram now. Okay, so whenever you are delivering a solution to a UX problem, you need to make sure that your problem lies into this quadrant, the low effort and high impact. So so this exactly says what it means, right? Low effort and high impact. So your solution should be very low effort, right? The engineers should put very low effort, but the solution would have very high impact in terms of turnover and in terms of business. So that is a solution that you would ideally like to provide to your company, right? If you are able to provide this solution, then you're golden, right? You will receive all kind of promotions you want in your life, right? These are the 3 things that you should avoid. So were you guys able to understand like this whole impact metric, like low effort and high impact metric? Just give me a thumbs up. Yes, Harshata. Yes, 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 yes. That's a good. Yes, yes, yes. Superb. Okay. So that's the significance of impact metric, right? So in my company, I make sure that whenever I reach to this state and whenever like I circle out components, I gather my PMs, I gather my engineers, and we have a call and I show them this whole research part. And then we decide on like which components that we should use, right? So moving back to this part, indirect competitors. So like I said, right, we won't be reinventing the wheel. Instead of that, we would be using the components and the research part that is done by OLX, the research part that is done by Carvale, the research part that is done by Cardeco, right? Now comes the user persona, right? So as I was talking about the use cases and research part, now comes the user persona. Why the user persona matters, right? So now the people who are going to use this application are the people who are in the age group of 40 to 50. So like as soon as we come to know about this age group, all the options of making the design look aesthetic and adding all those dribbly effect, you can't do that because 40 to 40, the people who belong in that age group, they won't be able to navigate through your application if they see all those fancy buttons, right? We need to make sure that our applications, the UI components and the UX components, the UI components that are used in our application are the UI components that they use in your regular life. Okay, so we would target those applications, right, which are used by like people belong in the age group of 40 to 60 or 70, right? So that would be Instagram, that would be Facebook, all these applications. So now we would take the UI elements which the UI elements from those applications, right? So we would make sure that our application doesn't need the people who are belonging in the age group of 40 to 50 to think about user should not think, right? Your your positioning of elements should be in a way that it doesn't make the user think. On that, then we should not be creating new elements. We should be using the elements that are already present in the older applications and the applications that these users are used to, right? So we will be taking elements from Instagram, Facebook, and all these applications, right? We won't be doing any fancy stuff. Okay. So this is UX perspective. I'm talking about the UX perspective. Cool. Okay. So now, so these are the indirect competitors, right? Cool. So I would move on to the direct competitors now. Okay. So these are some of the direct competitors that I was able to, come across. So here I can see that, they have written this auction is in process, and the photo is here and the stars. So why I'm circling this out is, I'll be when I'll create a low fidelity wireframe, I'll be first designing this components, and then I'll be creating the low fidelity wireframe. Right. So that is the reason. Of course, yes, yes, yes. Superb, Ron. Yes, yes, yes. That's a very great example. Yes. That is how you should be able to, take out the indirect competitors. Cool. And again, that would be, very useful, because I'm pretty sure like people who fall in that age group of 40 to 50, they are 24 into 7 present in the Facebook market group. Yes. So yes, of course, we can use the Facebook market group as our, research part, research part. Right. So these are some of the applications I've already circled out. The UX components, the UI components that I would like to use in my own application, right? So, so now I would connect the use cases, right? So now you see this thing, run and drive, normal wear, no rush, okay, and inspect it. So I'll just quickly move on to the use cases part, right? Use cases and pain points part, right? So in pain points, I have written like, so pain point is something that I will be uh, making once I'm done browsing those applications, right? So once you have like installed the applications, I want you to browse through them thoroughly and rigorously. Like I want you guys to explore each and every use cases, right? Each and every user flow. Cool. So once you're done with that, I'm pretty sure that you will be able to face a couple of pain points, right? So the first pain point is the auction apps are often targeted by fraudsters who may try to sell fake or stolen goods. This can be a major pain point for buyers who may end up losing money or getting scammed. So in my application, while researching how I have solved this problem, I'll show you how I have solved this problem, right? So it's often targeted by fraudsters, right? So fraudsters are someone who will be creating, fake IDs and stuff like that. Cool. So how I have solved this problem while researching through my competitors. Cool. So see, we can just add this tag. We can just use this thing, right? Inspect it. So this, when the buyer sees this thing, well, using the application, well, using the auction page, he knows, right, that this specific thing, it was inspected and it's well and good, and he can, bid on this thing, right? So this is how the UX connects with your UI, right? So each and everything that I circle out, I was able to circle out because I had a proper and a thorough understanding of the problem, right? There is a reason. Trustworthy. Yes, yes, of course, yes. So that is the reason why I tell you guys, whenever you receive a problem, I want you guys to, read the problem twice, 10 times if possible. Then only you will be able to, just circle out things. Okay, I need this. Okay, I need this. Okay, I need this. Okay. So that is how it works. Cool. So suppose, okay, just suppose if the task would be a use case itself, a user flow itself, then what I would have done is instead of screenshotting a single like single screen, I would have screenshot the whole user flow, right? So if the task would be to improve the bidding process, right? So in that case, what I would have done is, so I would have created the user flow for the bid now. Like what happens when you tap on bid now, and what is the screen that appears after I have like entered a certain amount, and what happens when I tap on that. So the whole thing would have looked something like this, right? Like this would be my first screen, and when I tap on this would be the second screen. When I tap on this, it would be the third screen. When I tap on this, so this is the user flow, right? User flow of whatever call is user flow of bidding, right? And the application is auction mini. Cool. So now I would do the same thing for each and every applications, right? The user flow. Then what I would look is, I would look for the touch points and for the whole UX experience, like the whole experience of the user, right? I would make sure that the solution that I would be providing would have lesser touch point and would be more intuitive, right? So I would just, so suppose if I have, wait a second. So if I have like these are the multiple flows, right? And these are like, this is application 2, this is application 3, right? And these are the user flows. So what I would do is I would pick, like I like the user flow of this, right? I like the user flow of this, like because I felt that this was more intuitive. And in this user flow, the third touch point was more intuitive. Then I would pick that. Cool. And in this, the fourth was more intuitive. Then I would pick that. So this is how you would conduct computer analysis if the task was to improve the user flow, right? So this is how you should do. This is what you're supposed to do whenever you receive a task which says that you want to improve the user flow. Cool. But as of now, we are just designing one screen. Okay. So like I said, I have circled out each and every components that I felt, good for my application. So now what I would do is I would create information architecture. So now, hearing the word information architecture, I would like you guys to answer the question that I'm going to ask, right? So what is information architecture? Just you like if you can define it into one sentence, right? What is information architecture? It's 8:45. Let's wait for 3 or 4 minutes, right? Let's wait for 8:48. The flow, how the site would be. Okay, flow between pages. Okay. Mm-hmm. So relation between all the elements on the page. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Detailed sitemap with labeling. Okay. Structure and flow between pages of platform. Okay. Okay, there are still 3 more minutes remaining. Take your time, guys. Take your time. I would like all to participate into this question. Nice, nice, baby. Yes, you're closer. Yes, yes, yes. You're 90% there. Anugna. Yes, 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 yes. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, I feel as if like you guys are Googling now. It's like a blueprint of building a page where you can find everything about the app. Okay, cool, nice. Okay. It's almost right, baby. It's almost right. Okay, no worries, guys. You guys were around 80% there, so it's almost. I'm pretty sure that you would be able to understand this very nicely when I'll be explaining this. Okay. Okay. So basically, information architecture is something that allows a designer to arrange the UI elements according to their importance on screen, right? So now let's consider this example. Okay. So now the information architecture of this specific, like just consider this the screen, this much screen, right? This much screen. So now the information architecture of this page. Okay. So information architecture, very simple terms, is arrangement of UI components according to their visual hierarchy. That's it. So as a buyer, the first thing that I would like to see is the images of the car, right? So that is something that I'm able to see here itself. So that holds the first topmost priority, and that has the top number of visual hierarchy points, right? So this is the first thing that the user would see. Okay. Now arranging this according to the needs of the user, that's information architecture. That's it. Cool. Second thing, as a user, I would see is feature, right? The third thing is the title of this car, right? The name of this car. Cool. And the fourth thing is, again, automatic and 3.0. And the fifth thing is the pricing of this car. Okay. So now the information architecture is something that would, change based on the geographical location. So if in India, the title is here and the price is here, it won't be same for the people in the US, right? The people in the US would like to see the pricing at the top itself, because if I'm a businessman, right? If I'm a businessman and I have written that I'm searching for Mercedes Benz, right? Mercedes Benz. So I have like a couple of options that I came on to, right? So I opened this page. I would like to see the cost of the car, and I have like quoted my budget that I want the car to fall into 60 lakh itself, right? I want the Mercedes in just 60 lakh, right? So that is my requirement. So for that user, how you will design the application would be, you would make sure that you keep this thing at the top itself, right? So the moment the user lands on this page, he sees the pricing, he sees 64, okay, it's not in his budget, he goes back, he opens up next option, right? Instead of so now if you wouldn't have kept the pricing at the top, then what would have happened? I'll tell you. He would have seen this thing first, then he would have seen this thing first, then second thing, so this thing second, this thing third, this thing fourth, and the fifth thing is something that he needs the most would have appeared into his eyes. So that is what, like, the arrangement of UI elements according to their visual hierarchy is information architecture. Please don't complicate it. It's very simple thing, right? So now, what's that? All possible user flows. So do you guys understand what information architecture is? Okay, cool. Cool. So that is what information architecture is, right? So again, for information architecture also, I would prefer my competitors. I won't again reinvent the wheel. But at the same time, I would ask, if I'm working in a company, then I would ask my PMs that, according to you, what is the topmost thing that our user needs at this point, right? So the PMs would conduct the research and all that, because PMs are the people who are in direct contact with the guys who are using the platform. Cool. So they would be asking the questions then. So once they have come with the answers, at that point of time, you have like a proper understanding and ranking of each UI elements, right? So at that point of time, you can just arrange it according to the user need, right? So that is how you should create the information architecture. So in this information architecture, you can see like add to favorite, share, checkbox. So these are some of the things that I wanted at the top, right? So this is the user, this is information architecture of this page, right? So now I won't be talking about all these screens. Instead, I will just be talking about this specific screen. Now this screen is collection of all the circles that I had circled while I was, scoping out the competitors. Yeah, so usually what I do is, so I create the legends for the information architecture, right? So this would be my legend, right? Sub page, this is a legend that I use. Actions, main page, content, sub content, right? Okay, cool. So like I said, right, I'll be so in the lo-fi, I will make sure to add all the elements, your elements that have circle of. Cool. So as you can see, this is a lo-fi. Okay. So as soon as I have created the lo-fi, the next thing what I'll do is, I'll so this tool, it's whimsical. I actually use whimsical. A lot of people use Miro and all that, like FigJam, but I prefer to use whimsical because whimsical it appears very dull, and it gives you that feeling as if you're using your pencil and your paper, right? Because it allows you to make mistakes, right? and like again, like I would like to bring up one point, right? So like most of the designers who are new into this field, they directly jump onto Figma, which is a very bad thing. So as a designer, as a design lead, the thing that I've been doing and the thing that have been giving me such success is I make sure to spend 80% of my time, 80 to 90% of my time in whimsical in the UX part of the problem, and then 10% into Figma. I just use Figma for the designing part. That's it, right? Can we show you this graph of information architecture on the options? Will come out of the page and I. Yes. Muthuraja. Yes. Can we show you this graph of information architecture? So information. So like that graph is not as that important. Brahim. It's just the arrangement of the UI elements. That's it. That is what the graph is, right? Okay, so I was talking about like the UX, like how important the UX is, right? In the whole designing part. So I want you guys to spend 90% of your time over here itself, right? So whenever you create lo-fi, you need to make sure you present this to your PMs or your colleagues or your engineers and ask them this, is this feasible solution? Once they mark this as feasible, then what you would do is you would screenshot this thing, right? And so I already done that, right? So now, so this is like my page arrangement. So actually I have a different page arrangement for this session. I have created this specific page arrangement. So the source of truth is something that in which all the designs and all the components will live. And I will provide the link to the HR of that page itself. Okay, the work in progress is something that the files that I'm working on, I'll keep in this page, right? Okay, so as you can see, this is a screenshot, right? So now what I'll do is I'll start creating components, right? Components from scratch. Cool. So let's just use this as components. Okay, I'll just okay. So I'll create a component from scratch itself, right? Okay. So I need to create the component, like this is the top navbar component, right? So I'll create components first. Cool. Right. I'll make sure to make it black. as of now, I'll make this heart, right? I'll make this share. Cool. I'll add the auto layout. I actually use auto layout in all my designs. Auto layout is a life savior, guys. Okay. Okay. I'll make sure it's okay. How cool. So now once this is done, what I'll do is top navbar, top navbar, top navbar. Okay. And I'll turn this into a component, right? So this is a component. Now what I'll do is I'll create a variant of this and I'll place this into here itself, right? Okay. So I forgot to change the color of this. So I'm not actually for this session, I'm not, going to the depths of the colors, the styles, right? Because we don't have the time for that. Okay. So this is done. I'll fill container with this. Okay. I'll make sure this is also fill container. This is a container and this is auto, right? So that way it sticks to the bottom and I need a bit spacing over here, right? Cool. Then I'll create images. Cool. So this is what I'll do, right? I'll create images now. Okay. It's early earlier. Okay, now I'll create a component of this thing. Eight. Okay, it's more 4. Okay, and I need to add curves to this, right? So images, car images. Okay, and I'll create a variant and I'll drop this into this here itself, right? We'll add some colors. Okay, and we'll make them fill, right? Make sure like whenever you're starting out, don't fall into the trap of, learning the auto layout first. Make sure that you understand the basics of the UI UX, right? You should not like auto layout is something like auto layout is a good to have thing in terms of UI UX, right? Because like most of people, they end up spending their most of time in auto layouting instead of, doing the work, right? Producing the work. So I would suggest you guys that you should, auto layer is not a superpower basically, right? It's not a superpower. I would like to say that first, right? It's good to have thing, right? So this is how I would just create components first, right? Now once I'm done with this, I'll just move this to the page, the source of truth page, right? And I'll also move this to the source of truth page. Okay, this was moved to the source of truth page. And so these are the components, right? So what I'll do is I'll create a section for this as well, right? And I'll name this section as components, right? So this is how you should present your designs whenever you're presenting it to a HR or anyone, right? You should have a perfect header. Each and everything should be very easy accessible because most of the time PMs, they don't know how to navigate Figma. So that way you need to make sure that each and everything in your design file is very easily navigable and there's no issue for them, right? Your paging, the name paging should be in on point, right? This is something, this is again, okay, cool, right? So after doing all the components and everything, this is something that, the final result would be this. And whenever you're submitting a design assignment or design task, so I want you guys to create 2 designs. So first would be functional UX, and the second would be, well, this we demo we're discussing with PMs, the demo for discussing. So the demo would be the complete analysis while you circle all the components and when you create the low-fi fidelity. Okay, at that point of time, you should be discussing that wireframe with your PMs. You shouldn't be discussing the high fidelity with your PMs. These are the high fidelity. So once the PM gives the green signal on the wireframes, at that point of time, you're supposed to create the high fidelity at that point of time only, right? Well, let's be remember for discussing difference. Okay, can you reiterate on that question? Difference, I am not able to understand, BB. Okay. Okay, so here I have created functional UX, right? So these are all the elements that I have taken from the computer analysis itself. There's nothing that I added from my side. So that is how you're supposed to conduct the competitor analysis. And again, like I said, right, we need to create one aesthetic version of this as well, because in India, most of the companies, they would prefer aesthetic, like aesthetic appeal over functionality. So that's a sad truth, right? Difference. Okay. So functional UX is something that, each and everything you see, it's derived from the applications, uh, which are which are mainly used by the people who belong in that age group, right? Into 40 and 50 age group, and they're used to those buttons, those designs of buttons. They used to their, it has like stuck into their mental model, right? So now if you see this thing, right, the heart thing and the share thing, so this is something that is present in Instagram, right? So they know that if I tap on heart, I will like this thing. If I tap on this, I will be able to share this thing with my friends, right? So this is a functional UX. But when we are creating aesthetic UX, at that point of time, I'll find something more aesthetically appealing for that. But again, that will be a problem for the users, for the people who belong into the age group of 40 to 50. At that point of time, they wouldn't know what would happen if I tap on the heart button, because it won't look the same, right? So that is the difference between the functional UX and the aesthetic UX, right? Aesthetic design. Aesthetic design, you see, you would have heard the example, right? Dribble designs are eye candy design, right? They are not functional design, right? Yes, we can label them. Yes, yes, yes. So again, if this application is used by the people who belong in the age group of 60 to 70 at that point of time, I would want you guys to label the diagrams, like label the icons, right? So that would again be more accessible for those age group of people, right? Yes, yes. That is what UX is all about, right? You need to study your users who are using this application, and you need to design your application in a way that it's usable by a wider range of audience, right? Instead of a selective group of users. Cool. So remember, whenever you're submitting a design task, you need to first create the functional UX, then you need to create aesthetic UX. Okay. And then you would be creating links to this and sending it to your HR. Okay. Okay, so actually, I didn't give my like proper introduction. So what I would do is, if you guys want to go through my story, so this is my story. It's quite, quite depressing, but at the same time, it's motivational. So this is my story, right? You can go through that link. Okay, and again, so okay, there's one more thing that I would like to say. Okay, so this whole thing that you are seeing over here, this was not done by me. This is all done by a student of mine, right? Student of mine. She has been receiving, like, as of now, she has been receiving couple of offers and companies and HR offers. So she is in that phase. She has done the course for 4 months and she's receiving offers. Yes. So this is not done by me. Yes, this is my student's work, right? So this is how you should approach your problems, right? So now next time, remember, whenever you receive a problem, I want you guys to, yes, 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 actually I'm working in a company, and like I also have my like own startup, a Box Academy, where I teach students, right? And also, as of now, I'm working on another startup. So yes. Okay, cool. So this was it, guys. I hope you like this session was quite helpful for the people who have just joined this field, and the moment you see all those messages, right, all those YouTube videos, right, where they say that AI will take the job of UX designers, UI designers. Don't worry about that thing, because like UX is something that requires emotion, and AI, like for AI to adapt emotion, it would like require time. It would require 200 or 300 years. So don't worry about that. You should just focus on doing things, right? And like again, like next, there's one more thing that I would like to say, right? So I have seen like a lot of people, they post tips and tricks about UI UX. Instead of doing that, I would suggest you guys to actually design projects and post that, so that way you'll have a good reach on your LinkedIn platform. And HR, what they will do, they will reach out to you on their own, right? Okay. So yes, Roshika, that was it from my side. So at first I was super nervous, but yes, as I proceeded, like the nervousness went down.
Yeah, I think this is the first session we have had it in this format, and I believe this was like really, really helpful because every time it's like we pick up a certain topic and we talk about it. And at the end, sometimes the students or the learners are left with some questions. At this point, we picked up a problem. We started from a problem, right? And we were not aware where we're going to land with the solution or how we're going to land to a solution. So I think that's a very interesting format of starting to learn something new, like approaching the problem directly, right? And I think that's the core part of the design process, I would say.
Yes. Because like I was looking through the videos, like people, I'm not bad mouthing them, because like I was looking through the videos and people were just reading off that presentation. But I felt that instead of reading off the presentation, why not we solve the problem altogether, right? That way,
Right, right.
people who are currently participating, like participated with us, and who will be going to view this video in future, they would get something useful out of this video.
Right, right. Definitely is. I think there are always already there are questions in the chat section that I want to learn more from you. How can I join
Yeah, exactly.
you? So I think from this we could easily conclude that it was a really successful and a helpful session. And there's a lot of frameworks that I also learned, and it helped me also, you know, reiterate. So I think you are also an engineer, I'm also an engineer. We switched career shifters. It takes time, and but when we get to it, we know how to solve it, right? We have
Yes,
learned that
that's the
in the
point, right?
process of engineering.
That's the point, right? Like there are millions of frameworks that are available, but no one is actually telling you, how to solve the problem. Like this is something that I
Right.
use as a design lead to in my company, right? So I have shared that information with these guys, and I felt very nice actually, sharing this thing with them.
And I think students are even able to really connect with you well because you're directly speaking their language. And what else do we need? Yeah, I think that there's a
Thank you
question
for
from
that.
Samir. Which
Okay.
application are you
So
using?
yes. So
You mentioned.
this thing is whimsical, guys. This is whimsical. Like
Right.
I said, yes,
Hmm.
this is whimsical. So yes, I'm
I'll
sharing the link.
share the link.
Yes. It's whimsical. It's basically used to brainstorm. That's it.
Hmm.
That's the use of that application, that tool. Yes. Okay.
Just like mural.
Yes, Miro. Yes. But I prefer this. In Miro,
Hmm.
you see all those colors and all that thing, and you distract from your main core, motive. In this, it's very dull, which is the main thing I like about this, right? In FigJam also, like
Hmm.
there are millions of things you can like you can shoot your photo, you can use those stickers and colors and all that. Yes, it's distracting, right? So that's the reason I use them.
Right. It's like just sometimes too many features are also overwhelming.
Yes,
You just need a black canvas to start with. I
Right,
can
right,
completely
right.
relate.
Yes, yes, yes. Of course, Rashika. So, okay,
And
Rashika, thank you so
thank
much for
you so much.
giving me this platform to share my knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much for doing this. I've shared Abhishek's LinkedIn profile over here. You can reach out to him, connect with him, and I think he'll be more than excited to speak to you. Uh, Already there has been a lot of words of appreciation, so I think I
Thank you
don't
very
need to say anything any much.
much.
Thank you so much, and let's do this again sometime.
Sure, sure, sure.
And
I will be glad.
uh,
Yes, yes.
yeah, yeah, and I think that was a success. Thank you so much, Abhishek,
Sure,
and
Rashika.
have
See you soon.
have
Bye
a
bye.
yeah. Bye bye. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye bye.